Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where I talk about books from Book of the Month Club and beyond. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, give me a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell. I'm your host. I'm Renee. Let's get started. Today I want to talk about my Christmas gifts. In particular, I want to talk about two books that I received as gifts this Christmas. Did anyone else receive any books as a Christmas gift? Let me know in the comments below. So before I get started talking about these books, I'd like to read a short section from a book that I had talked about in one of my previous videos. It's called I'd Rather Be Reading: The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle. And this paragraph I want to read is on page 49. And what she's talking about here is she's talking about organizing her bookshelves. And she has one section called Friends and Family. Now she admits that she doesn't have a whole lot of friends and family that are authors. However, there are some authors that she's read so many books from and she likes so much, and she identifies with them, that she feels they're like friends and family to her. So what she has to say is, some authors that I shelve here, meaning on her friends and family shelf, are here because we're on a first name basis, though they would be surprised at this intimacy. I've called Witold Rybinski by his first name for years, simply because I fear I'd butcher the pronunciation of his last name, as I probably just did. Dallas Willard is Dallas to me, not because Willard isn't easy enough to pronounce, but after talking about him so often for so long, it seems silly to call him by his full name, and Willard didn't feel right. Madeline L'Engle is Madeline to me, because I feel like we understand each other. I refer to these authors personally and often, and putting them on the friends and family shelf seems fair, even if the authors themselves don't know I exist. So, I do have a couple of authors, as I'm sure we all do, that are like that to me. One I had talked about in one of my previous videos as well, and that is John Grisham, who I often refer to as Mr. Grisham. This is his new book. It just came out a couple of months ago, The Exchange. This is actually a sequel. He doesn't write too many sequels, but this one is a sequel to the book The Firm, which was a book that he wrote over 30 years ago. And it involves now the same character, 15 years later. The character is a lawyer, Mitch McDear. And in The Firm, he discovers some wrongdoing at the place that he works. And he ends up, as a result, having to flee the country. And so now in this book, he's approached by a friend and mentor of his to ask for his help. And once again, he kind of gets pulled into a sinister plot that has some worldwide implications that he then becomes involved in. So I look forward to reading that book. One of the other books that I received by an author that I love dearly is by Patricia Cornwell. Now in her case, I do refer to her as Patricia. This book, Unnatural Death, just came out a couple of months ago as well. She started writing about 30 years ago, so she's also been a long-time writer. And this book is from her series about Dr. Kay Scarpetta, who is a medical examiner, forensic pathologist, who investigates different crimes and mysteries, does autopsies, that kind of thing. The books do contain quite a bit of medical information, which is one of the things that I really like about them. But anyway, with Dr. K. Scarpetta, let me read you another little section from the I'd Rather Be Reading book and see what Anne Bogle has to say about her love of particular characters. If I'm feeling generous, or my shelf is looking a little empty, I may further blur the line between fiction and reality, shelving titles here because I feel they could be friends. I'm not talking about the author this time, but the characters themselves. Anne Shirley, Jo Marsh, Veronica Mars. I could go on, but you're already questioning my judgment, I'm sure. Well, I'm not questioning her judgment because I do understand how she feels. Dr. K, like I say, has been a friend of mine for 30 years. And I feel like I know her as a friend. She has solved a lot of crimes, all the way from Richmond, Virginia to Fort Lauderdale to Boston. She works with her niece, Lucy Farinelli, who's another character in the book. And when the books started out 30 years ago, Lucy was just a school-age child who was interested in computers, but she's now a grown woman with a family of her own who's been trained in cybercrime. And so there's a lot of information about cybercrimes in the books as well. Another recurring character is Pete Marino. Pete is a former police detective, and he works with Dr. K. He's a bit rough around the edges. He's the classic, old school style detective. But when he teams up with Dr. K, he's able to kind of maybe fill in some of the areas, and he definitely adds some expertise to the situation in his grouchy, grumpy old way. Another character is Benton Wesley. That is Dr. K's husband, and he's a former FBI profiler. He sometimes has actually some kind of insider information about some of the serial killers, and so he's able to provide that area and bring in that expertise. And so together they kind of make a perfect crime-solving team. In interviews, Patricia Cornwell has been asked which one of the characters in the series that is her, that she feels the most connected to. And she said that actually she's a little bit of all of the characters, and all of the characters are a little bit of her. She's actually a very interesting person herself. She has written tons of books. There's 28 just in the Dr. K. Scarpetta series, like I say, several other series as well. She wrote one that is a true crime book. She's written a book about Jack the Ripper as well. And she's also written several cookbooks. She does mention a lot of food in her books. When the characters sit down and eat, you get a lot of description about the food. And so I have one of her cookbooks here. It's called Food to Die For. And this is actually secrets from Dr. K's kitchen. So kind of feel like these recipes belong as much to Dr. K as they do to Patricia Cornwell. But some of the recipes that I've tried that I enjoy, one is for fish. I've cooked that a couple of times. Grilled grouper with butter and key lime juice. And what the book does is it actually lets you know what book that's from. So that recipe and that dish is mentioned in the book Cruel and Unusual. And it explains that one of the characters in the book prepares fresh grouper for Dr. K in the book Cruel and Unusual. by marinating the fillets in key lime juice, butter, and olive oil at his cottage in Fort Myers Beach. He then grills the fish quickly and serves it with his hearty 7-grain bread. The recipe for that is on page 66. And marinated coleslaw with apple cider vinaigrette, which is on page 69. And Dos Equis Mexican beer. And it says even Kay couldn't improve on that. So this is kind of a fun book, a fun addition for anyone who is interested in Dr. K. Scarpetta. And like I said, I've tried a few recipes, all of which were pretty good. So I hope that everyone had a very good Christmas. Don't forget to let me know if you did receive some books as gifts, or maybe you gave some books as gifts. So comment below and let me know about that. Let me know if you have a favorite author or a favorite character who would be on your friends and family shelf. Let me know what you think, and as always, keep writing your own story. Make it full of good food, good characters, and good times. Thanks for watching.